Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Entertainment Buzz. I'm your host today, Ronnie L. Cleary. Please remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our upcoming content. Joining us in the studio today is none other than Anna McElroy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know you're having a really busy year, so the fact that you take time out of your busy schedule to be here, we really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, good deal, good deal. And we'll definitely expand on the busy year you're having as the interview progresses, but I want to let our viewers know a little bit about you, where you're from, how you got started in music. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm from Mobile, Alabama originally, and was there up until I was about 17 years old, and then moved to Tuscaloosa, Alabama for college for a couple years before making the move to Nashville in February of 2020. Music, I feel like, has always been a part of my life. You know, I grew up when I was like 3 years old playing the piano with both of my grandmothers, trying to get me into lessons, and I actually saw my old piano teacher a couple weeks ago when I went back home, and it was the first piano teacher I ever had when I was younger. And she joked around and she said, we didn't even make it through the first lesson because I walked in and I wanted to play. Yeah. I didn't want to play Mary Had a Little Lamb. And she said I was so mad that I left and I wouldn't go back for another lesson because I was mad that she wouldn't teach me how to play like Beethoven. And so I feel like I've just always sang also. It's always just been something that I did. And then started doing choir at the earliest age possible at my church back home, and did that up until my senior year of high school, because in 2016, I started to do live gigs around bars and restaurants, and that was around Mobile, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, just kind of down on the Gulf Coast area. And so I did that, and it started to take up a lot more of my schedule and a lot more of my time, about 4 or 5 days a week that we'd be playing 4-hour, 3-hour shows. And so I wasn't able to do choir anymore for the last year, which was really sad, but it all ended up working out how it's supposed to. So I've been really just singing and trying to work my way up since then.
Obviously. That's funny. Little 3-year-old Anna.
I know.
Wanting to play Beethoven. It's like,
I was so mad. I was like, I don't want to play that.
Big goals, big dreams. That's wonderful. You know?
Right.
And here you are now. You're still chasing those dreams. And
Still chasing them.
Yeah. But you knew early. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So, obviously 3-year-old playing the piano, singing in church choir and in school choir, playing live gigs. I guess it was only natural that you would eventually make the move to Nashville. Most people probably do. What was taking COVID out of it, if you can, what was that first year in Nashville like for you? Like, culture shock or anything?
It's incredible. I mean, I've never felt like I belonged in a city more than I do when I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. And so I kind of moved on a whim February of 2020, because it was always a back and forth thing. You know, my parents wanted me to finish school, but I wanted to study music and songwriting without the actual studying of it, you know, just like learning from professionals and people who are way better than me, just being in the room with them. I feel like you learn a lot more being hands-on rather than reading a book about it. Yeah. And so it was just back and forth for years. And finally we were hanging ornaments on the Christmas tree, and I said something about the next semester of school, and my dad was like, well, why? You're not going to be there anyways. I was like, what? Are you saying I can go and I can move? And he was like, yes, if my cousins live in Nashville. And so that's who I would stay with all of 2019 whenever I'd go back and forth, working and trying to write and meet people in Nashville while I still didn't live there. And so they said to call my cousins, and if they still had the offer of letting me like kind of stay with them while I got on my feet there, that I could go. And so I called them, and 2 weeks later, I up and moved, grabbed all my stuff from Tuscaloosa, left half of it there, and just I went as soon as I could. And so I ended up finding roommates on a Facebook page shortly after that. So I was with my cousins for about a month and a half or two. And then I met them because I didn't know anybody. I just knew them. Yeah. And I knew my managers, Keith and Adrian, that I still work with and that I write most of my music with.
Okay.
And so after that, we kept meeting like a few friends through other mutual friends, and they ended up being like family. And so we spent like every waking moment together. And so even with COVID, I think it was really nice to have all the downtime and all the working from home, because we had less busy schedules. So we had more time to build those friendships and those relationships, like And so, I mean, it's been great. I love it. It still feels like I just moved there yesterday, and I love it.
Cool.
It's great.
Cool. You hear so many horror stories of during COVID and stuff. It's
Right.
refreshing to hear a silver lining story
Yes,
from it.
it definitely wasn't easy, but moving
yes.
and being around, being in a new environment, especially one like Nashville that has such a great community, was uplifting during the time. So it was great.
And it may have helped you ease into that.
Yeah, for sure.
I took advantage of the free time just doing some projects around home and stuff.
Right.
So there was some good of being home a lot. So you mentioned that you don't write everything yourself. You have some co-writers and whatnot. Do you find that when you're writing new music, do you start with lyrics or do you start with a melody? What's your process like? Is it one set way? Do you vary? What's that like?
Yeah, so I feel like it's different every time. I feel like so. Usually when I'm by myself, you always have as a songwriter, like just from not even meaning it's like involuntary. Like you hear people's conversations and your brain's just like, that could be a song. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So you're constantly writing down ideas throughout the day. So, but I feel like most of the time I like to start with a melody. So I'll sit down and pick up my guitar and figure out some guitar chords that I think sound cool together. And then I'll turn on my voice recorder on my phone and then just kind of see whatever comes out. And then I'll put words to that. And then other times I will write down a bunch of more so like poetry type things just to kind of get an idea of it. And then I'll sit down and try to sculpt it out. But it's a lot easier to have co-writers in the room too, because then they can bounce off you. And whenever it is more than just me in the room, it's kind of, we all sit down and we go through everybody's ideas. So, and whichever one sticks out to everyone the most is usually the song that we'll go with. And so then we'll sit there and usually somebody's already coming up with a melody or something. The whole time we're just sitting there and they're like, oh, what about this groove for it? And we're like, cool. And then someone's like, okay, what if we do this as a melody on top of that? We're like, that could be cool. And then it's, okay, well, what if it's these words maybe to start off with or this or that? And then it's really just bouncing off everybody else and their ideas and until everything kind of comes together. And it's always so fun too, because whenever it's the right line and it's just the whole room will light up and everyone's just like, oh, like that's so good. Like I love it, and it's a really cool feeling and it's a lot of fun.
Good meeting of the minds,
Yes,
brainstorming
yes,
session. Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. So let's touch some on this busy year you've had. I know you recently had your first major release. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
So my first release just came out recently called Real Tractors Are Green. It's available on all music platforms. And it's pretty much a song just that's about, back home. The chorus says, real roads are made of dirt. Sundays are made for church and everything you got is all you need. And I feel like that really paints a picture of just like home and family. You all have each other and you don't have every single thing in the world, but you have what you need, and it really paints a picture of back in the day. So it's been a lot of fun to have all my friends and family be able to listen to it now because they've been bugging the mess out of me since we wrote the song and they're like, I need it. And I'm like, well, you have to wait just like everybody else, like you can't have special credit because you'll probably send it to other people and you can't do that, right? My mom likes to do that a lot. Yeah. So I'm like, no, like
moms are great.
One
Most
rule. She can't even follow the one rule, but it's so funny. And so I told her I was going to put her on like a blacklist for a few months. I'm like, you have to learn your lesson. I'm like, you can't send my music to everybody, But I mean, it's been really cool to just have a song out in itself.
Doubt.
Like that's just so crazy to me because I want to do that forever. And so to have a song out, I'm like,
at 3 you were wanting to play Beethoven, so now to have a song out there, it's like it's a culmination of all your hard work. It's really cool.
It was very overwhelming. I cried for like 3 days, I think. I just woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a song out. My friends, I'd hear my roommates playing it through their speakers and it's just so fun.
Happy tears are the best. Yeah, no doubt.
Oh yeah.
In addition to releasing your first song here, you've also been a part of a new TV show. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, so there's a new TV series that's coming out that's based out of Nashville. It's called Nashville's Next Best of Three. And it's more so a songwriting competition for songwriters to kind of have their chance to shine and show what they have. And I was blessed enough to be able to be a musical expert on that and kind of be able to give positive feedback and direction in whatever ways that I was able to without tearing them down, because we're not perfect.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say the right thing while trying to criticize without criticizing, you know, it was very confusing at times, but it was a really, really, really cool experience that I'd never really done before. So it was just another bucket list, I guess, checked off.
Another check. There you go.
But it's still so surreal to me. I laugh sometimes and I'm like, what? This is so crazy. Like, what is happening? I have to pinch myself every day, but it's been so fun and it's been so cool. So
cool. And who knows?
Met a lot of connections through that.
Of course.
Also, just, you know, songwriters in general, just being able to hear people that live in Nashville and see all the talent was incredible.
I'm sure networking as well. I mean, just with other talent even. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And who knows where that will lead next.
Exactly.
Who knows, you know?
Exactly.
So let's step away from music just for a little bit. Because here you are on your day off in the studio talking about music.
Right.
So let's pretend you have a free day. What do you like to do in your free time that's not musically related?
So I typically spend most of my time down on the Harpeth River. Some of our best friends have land out on one of the banks. And so we'll just all back our trucks up to the water and sit there all day, pass the guitar around. Everybody kind of plays a little bit down there. And so we just we all kind of get there around 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll hang out all day, grill burgers at the top, make some other food. People bring casseroles, and all the parents will be down there. So it's really just like a good family-oriented environment. But I spend most of my time down there.
I don't blame you. Sounds great.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite places. It's just a safe place.
Yeah.
To go, just get away and just
sounds amazing.
Clear your mind, right?
Sounds amazing. So, okay, when I was doing my research on you for this interview, I couldn't help but be blown away by both sides of the ocean. I'd like for you to tell our viewers where that song came from and the deep meaning behind it, and just go. I can't do it any more justice. You can have it from here.
So my dad was in the U.S. Army for 29 years, and he just recently retired in, I think it was it had to have been 2019, because I think that's whenever we had written the song, because it was a surprise for him. So he had no idea. I had to keep it a secret for like 3 months. And this is when I first started going to Nashville to like work. So he'd always be like, what are you doing up there? And I'm like, nothing, you know, but really like we'd been working the whole time on both sides of the ocean.
Yeah.
And it is pretty much just a song that, I guess, let me back up for a second. So 2 of the years that my dad was in the military, he was in Kuwait and Dubai. And so we were without him for 2 whole years, which was really hard, especially during holidays and things like that, having him on. At the time, we had to use Skype, so we just set up the computer somewhere where he could see all of us. We'd put him at the dinner table whenever. But it was really hard. And so I feel like both sides of the ocean paints a picture of what life was like without him, and just the fears that you have having somebody overseas in the military, not ever knowing what's happening over there, because they can't tell you anything.
Yeah.
You know, everything's very secretive. So it's just, hi, like I had a great day today. How was your day? It's not, what did you do today? It's, so sorry, like we can't do this, but here's an address if you want to send anything. Like it has to go through like so many different things. So it's definitely the most special song that I think I have so far. And it was really cool to surprise him with it too, because we had a retirement party for him. That was a surprise also. And so I had 2 of my best friends that I'd always play with in Mobile. We told them to book a gig that day and make it seem very natural. So we wanted to take Dad to go watch Bruce and Zach, you know, like he loves watching them, like loves it. So we were just going as a family to kind of celebrate him, but really we had a bunch of his old military buddies from overseas that he was stationed with, and we had family that we hadn't seen in ages. You know, everybody came out for it, and I kind of got up halfway during the whole lunch, and I was like, so I have another surprise. I actually have been doing work the last few months in Nashville, and it's been the hardest secret to keep, but I wrote a song for you about what it's like on my side of things, you know, and there was not a drop on the house anywhere. It was definitely, it was really hard to sing and get through that, but it gets easier the more that I sing it, but it hits every time. But that's such a great song.
Absolutely. And I think I read in the comments or something when I was watching it online there that after that you posted it on Facebook or somewhere online for for the rest of the family and everyone else to
Right.
see it, and it ended up going viral. Like
Yeah, it
lots of
got,
views and
I don't know how many it has now, but I think
Yeah.
last time I looked at it, it had like 30,000 something maybe.
cool. We'll
I
have
don't
to-
know,
we'll have
which
to
was
check that.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like,
No
whoa,
doubt.
okay. I was not expecting this whatsoever because I was literally just posting it so my grandparents
Yeah.
and people who weren't able to be there could hear it. And then it ended up getting all these views. And I was just like
Of
calling
course.
Keith and Adrian. And I was like, God, did you see this? Like, what's happening right now? Like, this is so crazy. But yeah,
That's
I
cool.
thought it's been really cool seeing other people's reactions to it also and seeing how many other people relate to the same exact thing. Because you know that they do, but you never really know how much that they do relate until they come up to you and tell their story also. That's
Yeah.
just so similar that it's
Yes.
nice to kind of be one big team with all that.
Yeah. That's
But yeah.
one of the great things about music is that a song can relate to me one way and you another,
Right.
and just
It's a universal language.
Yes, exactly. That's the best way I can say it. Another thing about that song that's really cool is that it is being considered for the theme for a upcoming feature film.
Yes.
exciting.
I just got news of that recently, which is even crazier. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
happening? It's just so many things are just coming at me, and I'm just like, wow, like I'm so thankful, but it's like so hard to wrap my head around it because it's just so
Yeah.
mind blowing, and it just doesn't seem real. I
Yeah.
guess if that makes any sense. So
Yeah.
it's really, I just have to take a step back and be like, okay, this is like happening. Get your life together.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to come next at this point. You've already been hit with all these things you never thought you'd be doing until like years and years down the road.
Yeah,
So I've been so insanely blessed, and I'm so grateful for everything that I've been able to do at such a young age and such a beginning start with my career.
Yes.
It's been incredible. So for that, if that
Awesome. Well,
goes through, that would just be the icing on the cake. It would just be really, really, really cool.
And from my perspective, it's just really awesome to see your hard work paying off. I mean, congratulations
Yes.
on all this
A
success.
lot of hard work is going into it. Thank you so
Obviously.
much.
Yeah,
Not
again-
just me. I have a lot of other people that are helping with all this.
Of
So
course.
it's definitely
course.
not a one-man job. So
It's a team. Yeah,
Yes,
just about
and
anything,
I
yes.
have the best team. Biased, but much.
So we've covered a lot of stuff you've already done. What's next? What have you got coming up? Any new?
So, just as quick as we just released my first single, we are having another song called Mine to Make that's coming out next in a few weeks. So that's really exciting. That's one of my favorite songs also. So I can't wait for the world to be able to hear that one. And
forward to
then
it.
also hoping for a special thing happening maybe on Veterans Day. So that could be really cool. Can't say too much
Cool.
about that yet, but and then hoping to have a lot more shows than we have right now. But right now we're kind of starting to get together some type of like mini tour for the end of the year, just to kind of start getting out there and
Yeah.
getting on the road and playing for
Awesome.
people and putting my name out there. And it's so I'm excited for all that. So there's a lot of fun things coming up, but and a lot more things being added to those things. So
Cool.
it's just
So singles release and TV shows, all this other stuff. Again, the fact that you're taking the time to be here today with us, we greatly appreciate it. So thank you
yeah,
very
of
much.
course.
And also, I don't want to go without saying this. I think I can speak for everybody here at Entertainment Buzz, is to thank your dad for his years of service.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you,
very
Dad.
much. Thank you. Yeah,
No,
I
Dad.
didn't want to get out of here without saying that. So, okay, I guess let's tell the viewers where they can listen to your music, find out maybe dates on upcoming tours, find you on social media, just any websites, anything. Plug away here, please.
Right. So my music is available on all music platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, YouTube Music, Amazon Music. Ask Alexa to play it. She would love to. You can also find a lot more information on my website, annamcelroymusic.com. That is where you can find upcoming show dates, video updates, any songs coming out, just anything of importance that has to do with anything we're doing. You can find on that. You can find it on Instagram at Anna_McElroy, or my Facebook page, just Anna McElroy. So all that good stuff, just listen to things everywhere, but everything will genuinely or mainly have everything on each thing. So
Cool. So
yeah.
lots of ways to find her and listen to her, follow the journey, and just see what happens next. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. This has been so fun.
Absolutely. I've had a blast. Thank our viewers for tuning in again. This is Entertainment Buzz. I'm Ronnie L. Cleary. Please remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.